It's March 16th, 2021, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off, right? And introduce the players. Hey, I am Gerissar, a PvP Padawan. Andalin isn't here, but that's okay, because we got Hydra over here, and he is going to fill... He's so bigger than life, he's going to fill two-person spots. Not only the other co-host, but the guest as well. How's it going, Hydra? I'm ecstatic. I am so excited. Not very often do we get people from the EU able to be on this podcast. Partially, something about time zones, something about it being midnight there right now. So I do totally appreciate you being here. But also, dude, man, I've been following you for a while, and I love checking your stream every once in a while. Love seeing some Disc Priest love over there on the channel, and that's why you're here, right? So. Oh no, hold on. Apparently you're muted. No. Oh no, I muted you.
Are we good? Or
Oh
I'm still
no,
muted?
I think, hold on. Can you guys hear him now?
Can you hear me?
Can
It's
we
not
hear
my
him?
fault.
No, it's totally my fault. That was my fault.
It's all good.
All right, I just wanted to, sorry, I need a thumbs up from, yeah, okay, thanks, Bookmark. God,
We good?
Bookmark saving us.
Saved.
Thank you.
Saved.
Yes. Thank you, Uber Blinken. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. So, like I said, hey, you're here.
Yep. Just about.
Retake number 2. Yeah, so you're saying, how long you been playing Disc Priest for? Because you really like playing them.
Yeah, I've literally been playing Priest since the original beta. I don't know if it's like an obsession at this point, but it's like I've tried other classes and it just doesn't stick.
Just doesn't
Always
feel
come back
right,
to
eh?
Priest. Yeah.
So, so which part is it? Is it the shielding? So, not direct healing, but kind of like just shielding people and giving them effective health, or is it the healing through atonement idea that really?
I don't think it's even either. It's like when I play other games, I always just play like utility. Like
Okay.
I really like playing utility, and I think Disc is kind of, or just Priest in general, is almost like the closest thing to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you obviously have that hybrid of healing, but being able to do damage as well, and you can assist your teammates and have like an impact on the game, more directly, I guess. I think that's kind of what I find so interesting about it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like it. So, all right. So how long have you been playing the game for then?
I literally started in the first beta. I actually started with a warrior. The first beta of WoW, the original WoW, that is. I started with a warrior. It was called Ryan the Great. I'm not proud of it, but we've moved on since then.
That's hilarious.
But yes, I played the warrior in the original beta, and I actually leveled up a warrior first on like when the game launched.
Oh wow!
And
you are a bit of a sadist, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it took me like 30 days or something. I was really bad. It was yeah. We'll move quickly on, but yeah, no, I got to 60 and then basically immediately didn't like it and rerolled Priest. And I made a dwarf priest because everyone needed priests, dwarf priests at that time.
Yeah,
everyone
and dwarf were awesome.
Yeah. So I made a female dwarf and everyone was shook because they'd never seen a female dwarf. Everyone was male. So yeah, that was cool. And then I just never stopped.
So I have to admit, I also have a female dwarf, and if anything, it was just for the amazing twirling hair braids whenever you hearthstoned or cast a long spell, and those. Yeah, those are awesome. And
I didn't have that. And
for those
mad.
listening at home, I'm waving my hands really stupidly behind my head for everybody on camera. So, all right. Exactly.
There we go.
All right. Well, so what have you been up to these last 2 weeks? In game or not?
Ironically, playing Holy Priest. everyone's rerolled Holy.
I heard you were talking about that offline.
Yeah, I've been playing Disc in 3 still, but yeah, everyone's been playing Holy in 2s. It's definitely the way to go in 2s right now. But yeah, threes is still all about disc, I would say, in the main comps, which is jungle and RMP.
Of course, of course. Jungle's still struggling a bit though, right?
Um, jungle is kind of weird, right? Because I feel like it's not as strong as it was in BFA, but also in BFA there was comps that were just like really hard. Like it's never really like the top dog comp, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it feels
Well,
actually slightly worse now. It's still good, like you can still really push high rating. You can get rank one with it and that sort of thing. But when it comes to like tournament, there are things that kind of break it down, I guess. It's very much you have to play very cleanly
mm-hmm.
to get results. And if you do make any sort of mistakes, overlap any sort of CDs with your teammates, um, even just delay with your CDs because you're not 100% sure who's going for it, then you can get really punished for that. So
Yeah.
it's a fun comp, and it definitely scales a lot with playing well.
Okay.
But I'd say it's not S tier right now.
No. It's. I think some people are saying it's like B or C. I think.
Oh, I don't think it's that far down.
No. Okay.
I would say if your top tournament comps are like S tier,
Mm-hmm.
I would say jungle is maybe A tier.
Okay. All right. That's a lot higher than what I was seeing. Oh,
Yeah,
it's all opinion on the tier list, anyways. It seems right. So
the way I'm trying to rank it is at least like if you're playing the comp at like optimal level, right?
oh
With minimal mistakes versus people playing like the best comp at optimal level, I think that's roughly where it is.
okay, fair enough. Well, and just one quick question. Oh no, sorry, you're EU, so you don't get any loot boxes. That's tomorrow for you, right?
Yeah, that's tomorrow morning. But I'm pretty done anyway, I think. I'm actually leveling a new alt probably this week, but my main two characters are done. So
Another? Oh, okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
hey, good luck on the renown grind, followed up
Oh my
by
God.
the soul ash grind, followed up by the conquest honor farming grind.
Gonna be great. Yeah, but I mean, it's mostly because I want one character that I can really push rating on, and then one to do stuff with my viewers, pretty much.
And that makes sense. No,
Yeah.
nothing feels poorly than having to be like, oh, I really want to play with you, but I don't want to ruin I'm trying to guard my CR. Like that's
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. We're gonna talk about that. He's talking. He means blinking twos.
Yeah,
Thank you, chat.
Lincoln,
Thank you.
Lincoln is very keen for the twos, and I'm just like, but I want rank one. So it's in the works.
Well, I totally understand that. You're not the first streamer that I've heard of that had multiple same class, but be able just for that reason. So you had the one
Yeah,
for rating and the other one for fun.
I don't think it's too bad right now. Like with regards to kind of leveling it and gearing it up and stuff. Like at least we can gear it through PvP.
Yeah, totally.
The tall gas isn't too bad. I believe they changed it, right? So you can go straight to floor 8 and stuff. So you don't have to go through all the floors.
Yes,
Um,
they did change that. Oh, but then you have to have the gear and the ability or people to drag you through it, right?
yeah.
So,
It's not too bad, I think, as priest. You can just spec disc or holy, and you can like skip a lot of stuff and get some pretty good powers that scale you a lot, and you don't really need that much gear for it. It's all right.
fair enough. I think my understanding is it's just you need the soul ash to be able to make your legendary.
Oh yeah, big
You,
time.
you need to do like you're automatically time gated. I think 3 or 4 weeks, depending on how much soul ash you're pulling through, just to get your first legendary to even reach close to optimal power.
Yeah, I wish there was a catch up for Soul Ash. I really do. It's just because priest needs so many legendaries.
Really?
Like, yeah, well, you need. It depends. If you play holy, you need one or two different ones. If you
Okay.
play disc, you can get like Cephas. You can get like 3 other ones on top of that as well. That
All right.
depending on the situation or the matchup, or if you're doing 2s or 3s, it's crazy.
Well, we'll hit on that later. Thank you
Yeah.
for the foreshadowing.
We're getting carried away.
Oh, I love talking with you, man. I love to. Well, I guess if anybody's wondering what I did, really, I didn't do much. I think so I went in. I did some I did some fun, like, just some screwing around PvP stuff. And otherwise, the most fun I had was actually, because of this, I hopped on my Disc Priest. And then I realized that I had him camped out for a while now. I totally forgot about it, to do some old raids, to do battle pet farming off of old raids. So I went through and I just holy novaed the crap out of Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, and then I forgot that I was actually going to try and learn how to Disc Priest for a bit.
I was doing exactly that at the end of BFA. Like, we had some really long queues, so during the queue, I would literally do exactly that. It was fun.
It's funny you bring that up. So there's on another Discord with some other content creators. We're talking about how horrible it feels to be in a queue, like especially if you're doing rated battlegrounds, or because you're not even in queue to rated battle, you're just waiting to like build the team together, but you can't do anything because if you're in a rated battle, you're in a raid.
Yep.
So you can't quest, you can't like. It's
Yeah,
anyway.
I guess that's way worse than arena then.
Yeah, it is.
Awkward.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't even know what they would do about that.
Yeah, that's a whole other question. that's I'm not even going to go there. But instead of trying to figure out the game, why don't we roll into the Need, Greed, and Pass segment and see if we can get your ideas on this one.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
Indeed. So in this segment, I'm going to pose a scenario with three options related to World of Warcraft, and yourself, Hydra. Chat room, you guys get to play along as well, and people who are listening home after the fact, please chime on in. Send a tweet at technically_PvP or send an email, technicallypvp@gmail.com, what your answers are to this Need, Greed, and Pass. So, solo queue. Everybody's, man, you were playing, so I don't think you saw what was going on in YouTube chat during this last weekend and actually the BlizzCon line. But pretty much anything that was World of Warcraft on YouTube, the chat was 90% solo queue spam.
Really?
It was oh yeah. So let's ask the question. Solo queue. Pass immediately off the chat. So listen to me. So let's. All right. So here's the thinking. Let's say that let's talk solo queue. So if they did implement solo queue, there's always been a question about laddering. How are you going to figure out this ladder? So the question is would you, option A, have an integrated ladder? So the solo queue ladder is the same 2s, 3s ladder that we already play in a rated instance. Have a separate ladder just for solo queue. So technically that would be it. Not quite the skirmish level, but it's still like you still have a ladder there, so you can build your ranking up on that. Or, I think where I have the answer to the chat on this one. Screw it. You think solo queue is a bad idea? Pass on it completely. All right, or need on it, I guess, if that's the case. So I'll ask you, Ryan. Which one would you need? Which one would you greed, and which one would you pass on?
I think I would need on the separate ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Greed on then integrated ladder, and then pass on just no solo queue rather.
So you'd rather have solo queue?
Yeah, I think a separate solo queue ladder would be really good.
All right.
I think that it would require them to put something in place to kind of deal with people being toxic and stuff to each other. But I think that overall it would increase activity for PvP and bring people in, and it can only be good, I think.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
For the growth of PvP, it's essential in most games, I think.
I do agree. I think. I remember seeing what LFG looked like towards the end of BFA. There, it was pretty dismal looking.
Yeah.
The grouping.
That's what I mean though about the toxicity, right? Like I feel like everyone that comes to my stream and talks about LFG just has nothing good to say about it. So I think that they'd need to have some system in place, and I think that's probably why it hasn't already been done, because they don't want to spend the time putting that system in place to deal with toxicity. Because making solo queue is not hard for them, right? It's not that much code to do it.
I'm not sure. I think it actually would take a bit. of coding, because you have to create another matchmaker system. That's what I was wondering about the ladder, like whether you integrated or keep a separate ladder.
I think if you integrate it into the normal ladder, it's not really fair, because then you have would you then get queued against people that aren't playing solo queue? And then they have the advantage of comms, and if you can't queue into them, then obviously they have the advantage of playing on a different ladder. It might have different rating, inflation. It would get a bit hectic, I think.
Yeah. The only reason why I brought that up is because I know a lot of people there, or some of the stuff I've seen on social has been the question of like, okay, well, if it's a separate ladder, then what's the incentive? Like, what are the rewards? Are there other tabbers just for the solo queue ladder? Is it other enchantment? All this other stuff.
I mean,
I think the argument really is do you really need it? If you're that interested in playing PvP, do you really need an incentive beyond it to reach a higher rating? Then, if you really want the high rating, then make a solid. Take the people you just found that seem to synergize with you, hop over to the rated, and off you go and go for Glad, right?
I think that having some rewards is not a bad thing, as long as they're like aesthetic. People will go for them just because they want the aesthetics, right? And like maybe having a different like rank 1 title, stuff like that, could incentivize people to try hard on it.
Would you call it rank 2?
I don't know. I think that you could just have a completely different title for that season, and then you could see, okay, yeah, this guy that got rank 1 in solo queue in this season, right? Or you could get both potentially, or
yeah, who knows? All right,
I think it's a different skill set potentially as well.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a whole bunch of other pieces to it. Like, is there comms? Is there not comms? And then how does the system figure out who to put together? Do you queue just like skirms, just by yourself, or do you queue only 2s or only 3s? Like, how does it? It's world of questions on that.
I think what you'd end up having is you'd just have a Discord, right? Like somebody would make a Discord, and then once you're at a certain rating or whatever, then you could just join that Discord and then just hop into channels with other people that are high rated for that game, and then you'd have
that already exists. There's already Discords for that.
Yeah, so that's just what would happen at high rating.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would expect that if they do solo queue, they'd make people use BNet audio. They did slap the people don't have to use it. Just mute yourself or whatever, or silence it. But at least when you solo queue, you're automatically activated in a party BNet audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I have to answer my own question. So personally, I'm going to, as weird as it sounds, I'm going to need on the don't need solo queue. I think the answer is actually the LFG system. I think there's an issue with it. I think there's too much time spent trying to verify people are what they say they are. There's not a 1200 trying to sign up to a 2400 rated whatever, right? And I think also being stuck, either forming your own group or trying to join groups but not being able to do two at the same time, ends up being a missed opportunity. So being able to filter, I think, would also be better. So, all right. Anyway, so that's mine. And then if solo queue had to go through, I would definitely agreed on the separated ladder and pass on the integrated ladder. I think an integrated ladder would be completely crap. But I had to throw something out there. So, hey, there you go. Yeah. And again, like I said, back to the chat room. I see some people have already given their opinions on this. I really appreciate. Essentially, just a solid pass, it looks like, on solo queue itself. So
really?
We'll
interesting.
See. Yeah. Everybody. Oh, I think it's
so
one of those things. Yeah. Well, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder what kind of decision making, what conversations were happening in the Blizzard developer when they sit in the boardrooms and kind of talk about when they first came up with the LFG system for dungeons and that, and then LFR. I wonder if they foresaw where we would be today years ago when they were first talking about doing that, right? So
I think things evolve so much that it's really hard to predict for them, what's going to happen.
Of course.
Like I would not expect them to know, right? If they did, then they're geniuses, you know.
I agree. But it'd still be interesting to be part of that. Did anybody talk about it? Was it even like a conversation? Everybody's like, oh no, people, or was it not even thought of that it was going to go this way? 20 different groups for want to sell mythic Torghast, whatever.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's weird that they don't try and integrate more stuff. It's just like they've left it at bare bones almost, haven't they? They haven't really tried to progress it at all.
Mm-hmm. So that totally off topic. I remember them talking about add-ons and how they, as developers, when they put stuff into the game, in a way they kind of make it bare bones and see where the community takes it. And at the same time, if somebody makes a really awesome add-on, they're very hesitant to integrate it into the system because then it's taking away from that person's creation. But yet we've seen them do it. Like now we have, these little bleeps on the map that, the whole tracking system for where to go next for a quest and everything. Like that's all add-ons before, right? So
I feel like if I made an add-on and and everyone used it and then they integrated it into the game, I feel like that was like a success on my part.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be mad that now my add-on is no longer needed, right?
I think the only difference there is the amount of developing time it takes to write an add-on.
Yeah.
It's there's no GUI for it. It's all keyboard stuff. I looked into doing it. It's not easy.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's very labor intensive. I think a lot of add-ons just copy and paste off of each other because it's like, oh, that's a really neat algorithm. Oh, that's a really neat algorithm. But if I went and made an add-on, spent hours writing one, and then had a Patreon and was making money to help support the time I put into that, and then Blizzard just went, whoop, thank you.
Yeah, true.
That's a little... Hey, you're right, though. I mean, that's a huge feather in the cap of like, yeah, that was my idea first.
I guess if they kind of adopt your idea, but then don't add functionality that you would want added, then that could be frustrating as well.
Yeah. That'd be a...
Yeah. And it's just like, well, they just took my idea and made it worse. Yeah. But I mean, I guess you could just keep developing the add-on then, right?
Well, yeah. And I think we've seen that. Well, even like the Azerothian autopilot is still going strong, even though we now have a little...
I hate that add-on.
Where to go.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I like it when I want to level quickly and turn my brain off.
Yeah. I just really... Like, I enjoy leveling and figuring out like a fast way to level, right? Like an optimized way to level. And this add-on just does everything for you. So I'm just like, well, like there's no point. They've done it already. Like, screw it. I'll just follow the add-on.
Fair. But I mean, at the same time, if you don't have to use it. If you don't like it, then just don't use it, right? So, but how about we talk about, instead of what could be, why don't we talk about what is going to be in the upcoming events?
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
Indeed. So, I don't know if you're aware of this. There's this guy named Dalaran Gaming. You follow him over on Twitter at Dalaran_arogue. And he does 5v5 duels. So they're arcade style. So if you want, go give him a follow. I retweet him whenever I see him doing it. But he hosts it, he loads up a thing up on LFG. And you can join the raids, and then he just sets you up and it does a spectator 5v5 setup in the arena, and it's a pretty good time. So if you ever want to, go check that out. I'm gonna skip over Flark. I haven't heard anything from him for a while, so I hope he starts his tournaments again there soon. I know he's been focusing a ton on doing twos with viewers and RBGs, especially the RBGs. So, so that's the thing. If you want, go over to the, brain farting, over to Flark's Synergy Discord, and he's regularly running basically RBGs with viewers, and they're kicking butt. I think regularly pushing over 2,100 viewers. And he actually has like a separate channel in his Discord. So if you've joined him and you make a certain rating, he'll slap you in there and you get to chat with everybody else that's these higher ranked RBGers. So it's kind of like a little token.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I tried doing that on my stream. We like struggling at 1800. I feel
but it's all
that,
for fun, right? It's all for
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
It's I had a lot of fun losing as much as I did winning.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's
Because I don't usually do RBGs, so it's like it's very out of kind of what, is the norm for me. So it's
yeah.
yeah.
It's a different way of looking at the game because I was talking with Cherry over on the Oasis Discord about RBGs, and she was saying that during a kind of round table she did, where when you're up against, like, especially at the beginning of season 1, there's a whole bunch of raiders that were running in there with like item 200 plus gear or whatever, when everybody's gear level is a little bit lower, and they were just steamrolling people because they're just pumping out that much more damage because stat weights.
Yeah.
But now it's not as much of an issue. But then you had to know the nuances of the map and how you could go around and push the objectives without having to kill people, and that's hard. That's the minutia, is learning objectives, and especially when you start getting into split resing. So not killing somebody and then you end up putting the whole team onto a split res, so they're never up at the same time, and then you're always on a team advantage. That gets really cool.
Yeah, I think there's more strategy to it than meets the eye. At least from what I've seen. Like I'm a big RPG noob, so I'm just like, do damage, guys. Let's go.
You know what? Maybe after this, or there's, like I said, the Oasis Discord. You can just give it a Google. They originally were NA, but they opened up to EU as well, and they're trying to get EU teams going too. But they do a whole bunch of like, and there's an RPG guide over there that Cherry did up with a bunch of people. So it's very detailed. So if you're ever interested, go check that out.
Ooh.
Speaking of also RPGs and checking things out, I just found out the other day that apparently there's Willios and Kusa have been doing an RPG league these last couple weeks. So tweet link is in the show notes. It's a round robin format. Week 3 is going to be this Thursday on the 18th. There's a 5-week round robin going on, and they're streaming it. So I think they're streaming it on Kusa. On his stream, and then also some of the teams are streaming themselves as well from player point of view. So I'm excited to go check that out. Now I know what to do on my Thursday nights, so I'm sure my wife would appreciate that. No, not really, but what are we watching tonight, babe? Click. Oh, not World of Warcraft again. Speaking of putting things up on the big screen, there's also the Diablos 3v3 Death Bowl. They're doing this every month now. £2,000 prize pool, and also I think they got some prizes from the sponsors there. So there's gonna be some prizes for people in the chat room when they're watching. So go check it out. And hi, Ryan, have you played the Death Bowl? I think you've been in there, right?
Yeah, we did the pre-patch one. I think we came third. And then I think I'm gonna do the next one that's coming up potentially with Gelu and somebody else possibly, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet.
Oh, nice.
But it's a fun tourney just because of the bands.
Oh yeah.
Like it makes it so much more interesting. I hope Blizzard potentially adopts it in the future. It's such a good idea.
I have to admit it makes it really interesting watching then like some of the comps that come out of the teams is like,
yeah, for sure.
What are they doing that? And then they win. It's like what? Boom. Yeah.
I think we played like a prot double healer feral or something in one of the games. It got crazy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they allow for I think the same rule. It's 1 healer and 2 DPS or 1 tank, right?
Yep.
And I think that's the other neat thing. Before it was on live server, the one they did back in February. But this one is supposed to be on TR, if I remember, or January. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be because there was somewhere some people showed up and you could tell that they had just picked up an alt and they were still gearing the poor person.
It's good that it's on TR. That's a good show. It means that at least like they're working with Blizzard and stuff, and Blizzard's like receptive to it, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I've known. Blizzard esports team has been great in supporting Diabolus in this one, the Keystone Masters for their dungeon runs.
Yep.
And then of course, I want to say, some Method Mayhem stuff. A year ago or so, they were also supporting that one. So. I guess, speaking of which, the Blizzard tournaments, the official ones. So the last cup ended last weekend, cup number 4, and the AWC circuit starts on the 5th. So, no, wait, that's wrong. The 5th of March? No, should be the 15th of March. Oops. So that, no, wait, that's wrong too. Whatever. Okay, I'm going to fix that. Anyway, sometime in March, I think it's this weekend coming up. We should start seeing the AWC circuit. So that's going to be 4 weeks of round robin on Saturdays and Sundays, if I recall correctly. And we'll see the top 8 teams from NA and EU battle it out in their regions, trying to get to the top 4, which are then going to make it to the grand finals for season 1. And that's when the big moolah shows up. So, I got Ryan. Who do you think? Who are you voting for? Who do you think?
Who do I think is going to win?
Yeah, for EU.
Probably Method.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have just a really strong lineup all around, and Wildcard just lost their Ellie Shaman, who was really good. So it's they're playing with a Shadow Priest instead, but like big roster change right before is still gonna shake things up and make it tough. And they were pretty neck and neck with Method before, so
yeah, I was really surprised to see how well skill capped EU did, and Charlotte Phoenix over on the NA. Yeah, they are skill. Yeah, but I was really surprised to see how well they did with the last minute roster shift. Like that was intense.
I mean, they're really good players, so it's yeah.
Thank you.
Just goes to show.
I gotta say thank you to Blinken from chat. Thank you. It does start this Saturday, so the 20th.
You were close.
Not really.
Close enough. It's fine. The right month.
I was pretty sure this weekend, but
yeah.
All right. Sorry. So okay. So you think Method EU, eh?
Yeah, I think.
I think that's
they
solid.
They don't have Ellie Shaman, I believe. I think that's potentially like their main weakness. They don't have Ellie Shaman.
True.
But
they do
have
Mage
like an
Warrior.
insane mage. Their mage is really, really good.
Yeah.
Arguably, I'd say better than Marrow, but it's close. They're both very good.
All right.
Best 2 mages in Europe for sure, though. Like by a fair margin, I would say.
I don't disagree with you. It's going to be intense. I can't wait to see how. And I love the circuit because they know the teams are going up against, and then they can tailor their comps because they know what their comps are, and it's yikes. All right,
I'm a bit salty. We just came 9th.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, but you guys still have a chance with the relegation cup, right?
Yep, we're gonna give it our best shot in relegation cup, but we want to pick up a few more comps before then, so we've got a few months for that.
That's a lot of a few months hard practice should be good.
A few months, few patches. Hopefully, jungle's a bit better. Pray for jungle guy.
Come on, patches make and break.
Honestly, this patch is not bad. Like I think Survival and BM both got really good buffs. Venthyr got buffed. They're a lot stronger than they were. So you can pretty much reliably run BM and Survival now into whatever it's good against, as well as MM being good too, obviously, and TR.
Nice.
So pretty gutted that we didn't make it in because I think we could have done well now. I think top 4 would have been doable.
I would suggest also that the renown being tied to live, so not having max renown on Cup 1 versus Cup 4, made it difficult as well.
The main thing for us was in the first 2 cups we didn't get any points. We didn't play our best, but we didn't play so bad that we didn't deserve points. But Palas hadn't been nerfed yet, so they were just ooming us every game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was rough. If we'd have picked up some points in those cups, we would have probably qualified. But I would say keep your eye on the other jungle. I think they have the potential to do top 4 for sure. They're really good.
All right, looking for that's ad hoc gaming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think or reload. Oh man, I'm
No,
losing track.
it's ad hoc.
Ad hoc. Okay.
Yeah.
Losing track of it. All right. Then also MDI. So the last cup finished on that. So the global finals are going to be on the 25th, the 23rd and the 25th of April. So just after the AWC circuit. So looking forward to seeing what that looks like. See those top crazy dungeon runners. Those guys are crazy. I can't imagine. Like, watch some of these pulls that they do, and it's just it's a complete dice roll. Like all it takes is one crit or one missed kick, and it's 5 deaths and a corpse run. It's yeah, I don't know.
Doing the dungeons at the start of the expansion, and we just do like a normal pull and then wipe, and I'm just like, how do they? They're like on Mythic 15 or something, doing like every pack. Like, nah, can't do it.
Exactly.
My brain would melt.
How are they still alive?
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and then you have what do you think of the affix?
I haven't even tried it.
Oh really?
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
No,
Right,
what is it? What does it do?
The prideful or whatever. It's
It's a mob, right?
yeah, it summons a mob at the end, if I remember correctly, right before the last boss, and it has amount of health or whatever dependent on some aspect of the dungeon. I don't really fully understand it. It's way too cerebral for me. Let me just go into a BG and just bash my head against some flag carrying instead. That's
You
where
can tell what PvP is. We're like, it's an affix. It does something. Like we don't. I literally haven't done a Mythic Plus pretty much. I don't think. I did some Mythic Zeros to gear a little bit. Haven't done a Mythic Plus, just geared fully from PvP. It's awesome. Best expansion for it ever. I swear to God.
No, I remember trying to do one. A person, one of the viewers or listeners felt pity on me. They're like, "All right, I'm gonna pull you through a Mythic plus 15," and it was one of the Mechagon ones. And oh my God, I felt so horrible for the team. I had no idea what I was doing. It was so bad. You never invited me again.
I feel that.
Instead of talking about how crappy I am at things, let's talk about how crappy disc priests are.
Okay.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
Yes, Millhouse knows what's up. So disc priests, oh man. So you've made a bunch of videos on these too, right?
Yeah, I've done a few. Well, I've done a few guides, and I've done a bunch of highlight clips and I guess stuff from my stream, just kind of showcasing disc, I guess, at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, the main ones I've done like I think 4 guides for disc, which have been pretty popular, I reckon. People seem to find them useful. So
Yeah.
I
know I watched them a few of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had
Awesome.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them is basically just if you haven't ever touched disc, you can go and watch it and kind of figure out roughly a bit what it's about, what conduits to take, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Kind of get rolling before you.
Yeah. Just it will just get you into the arena with like the basics.
All right. Well, how about so normally what we do is we go through this. It's kind of basic style with some delving, but since you kind of have the basics there, how about we just surface skim the basics and try to get into some of the more detailed stuff, some of the minutia.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see how it goes, because honestly, I may be talking to my butt and you'll just be on the surface level just teaching me. So first and foremost, Shadowlands, it's out. We all know that there was a great unpruning. A bunch of abilities came back. There's stuff that was taken off GCD. So what was really the change between BFA and Shadowlands? What's different with Disc Priest today?
Best thing, I guess, is Shadow of Death spec. That's like front page news, right? Shadow of Death spec. It's like super fun spell. Obviously with Death and CC with it, but also you can also use it as an execute, which is really fun as well. Really strong. It actually gives you more of a feel like you're actually able to influence, the outcome of a game. Mm-hmm. Disc is historically, I guess, in the last few expansions, been very. It's like a smoothing spec, right? You're smoothing out damage with Atonement. You're smoothing your team's damage just by constantly adding sustain with your dots and smites, penance, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So having death is and something like mind games as well, which is one of the covenant abilities, is very much like incidental, right? You can really swing a game in one moment just by doing a good death or a good mind game, something like that.
Awesome.
We picked up, what did we get? We get Mind Blast as well. We got PI back.
Yeah.
Which the PvE is all raging about, by the way. PvEers hate PI. I love it.
I
It's like
don't
the best spell
understand
ever.
it. I don't understand it.
PvEers hate it so much. It's amazing.
I think my feeling from the PvEers is that everybody who isn't PI'd gets pissed off that they didn't get PI'd.
Yeah.
It's like, why does he get to top the meters? I should be able to top the meters. He got it instead. Come on.
His class is better. Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So PvE is not a fan of PI. I feel like it's gonna get changed. If not this expansion, then next expansion. But I doubt it lasts that long. Honestly, I think it's probably gonna end up being caster only, like the priest only.
Oh, really? So you can only self-cast.
Yeah, I think that's where it's gonna end up because people are so mad. Like, and when PvEers are mad, Blizzard listens. So.
Oh, the game changes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like us PvPers where like the whole PvP community is raging about intervene and Blizzard's like, yo, let's buff warriors, guys. It's fine. Just give them a buff. It's
three seasons of BFA. I don't have to say anything else. Just say it.
Let's not talk about BFA. It's gone, dude. It's in the past. We're good now.
I know. No, it just points out that well, we talked to we had a chance to talk to Chris Kaliki about that, and he was saying how,
really?
yeah, and it was a great conversation. But he was even saying for like BFA, he was planning to have a vendor, he was planning some stuff, but other things were more important, and his budget got pulled away because at the end of the day, they only have so much budget to work with for the development of things.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
It's just the PvP, like, low priority.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just how it is. Like, they don't have the enough people PvPing, like, of the player base to justify giving it a big budget, right?
Well,
which is fair, right?
Yeah.
It's a business at the end of the day. But it's a shame that we didn't see more, like, nurturing of it earlier on, because I believe in TBC and Wrath, there was, like, a way bigger percentage of people PvPing. Compared to now. Now I think it's less than 1% of people PvP, like straight up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can say I remember in Wrath where it felt like there was a lot of people PvPing, but I don't know if that was a larger percentage or if it was just because there were so many more people playing that it felt like it was more percentage.
Do you know what the numbers are like out of interest? Like,
no, I haven't.
I don't think they release it now, do they?
No,
in terms of like total players right now.
No, they have average monthly users or whatever, the MMUs, which is the number of people logging in. But that's between classic, it's live, it's everything, right? I know Bellular did a video on it, but take that with a grain of salt. I'll just leave that at that.
I feel like Shadowlands started out so strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it must have had a lot more than like the previous, at least 2 free expansions.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I just know that Shadowlands had the biggest first day sales, but they also pre-sold it for a year before it came out.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's just statistic mongering, right, or manipulation.
Yeah.
So I think it's just been the same numbers where, like, every time an expansion comes out, there's a bunch of people, there's that front run of people, they get max level. Okay, I did the raid, I did whatever I wanted to do, and then they puff smoke and they come back at the next major patch.
Yeah.
Right? It's and then there's the rest of us, like me and you and a bunch of other content creators and the people in chat room, where they're in every day, grinding the auction house, doing grinding for that invincible that never drops from ICC or whatever else it is, and off we go. All right, enough about reminiscing though.
Yep. Get carried away. Focus.
Oh, this is so much fun. Okay. I hear Andalin in the back of my head sighing. He hates this part. I always talk about roles. Like what role does a disc priest have in PvP, right? So we know that they're there to heal. Like you said, they smooth out the damage. So there's a little bit of healing, but they also do the shields and everything else to kind of smooth everything out with effective healing.
So you kind of you sort of have like this sustain healing as disc, right, through atonement. And then you have your cooldowns to deal with burst. So you have like your dome, you have your PS, you have rapture, and you sort of you see when they're using their CDs, and you kind of counter with your CDs to again smooth out that damage before it really comes in, because a lot of your cooldowns is damage reduction. So if you use them after the damage comes in, then it's kind of already too late, right? You mitigate less damage, and then some people are low, maybe they have to use extra stuff too. So you're really there to kind of prevent. But then on top of that, you have obviously your fear. We have Door of Shadows thanks to Venthir. Pretty much every disc is playing Venthir. So you have that, which is more mobility than we have in a while, by the way. It's actually such a good addition to the Priest Toolkit. And that allows you to push for a fear, often after one of your teammates CC. So you're kind of like following up. And then, in theory, we have Mind Control to potentially mind control the third target to prevent any peels or cross CC or whatever. But mind control is currently in a bad way.
What are you talking about? It works perfectly fine, doesn't it?
It's a little bit bugged.
But it only bugs the other team. It bugs the enemy, you mind, right?
So yeah, I mean, you MC somebody, and then your team is raging at you for the rest of the match because they can't hit them. Because they glitch all over the place.
Oh, okay.
Or you might just DC. Who knows? So yeah, Blizzard needs to try and fix mind control. But it's at the moment I go for an MC if it's like a game-winning MC. That's pretty much it.
All right. So I have to ask them, what would you consider a game-winning MC?
So that's basically like if you see their team doesn't have trinkets, and your team is doing a go, and you have good damage, you have cooldowns up, your team has cooldowns up to do damage, and you get your cross CC or whatever, and you can land an MC out of the whatever CC the healer's in to extend it by like 4 seconds. It's usually a DR MC, and you'll extend that CC by that few extra seconds, and then that's usually enough to get the kill. And then it doesn't matter that they bug out because you won the game. Yeah,
fair.
By the way, have you ever played an RBG where somebody MC'd someone?
I've been MC'd off of a cliff or off the bridge of IOTS.
I MC'd a guy in an RBG once, and they bugged out. And the rage from the whole team, the whole RBG, they're bugged out, right? No one can hit them practically for the whole game. It was hilarious. So yeah, I stopped doing that real quick.
So since Shadowlands, no, but I have been regularly MC'd. So a trivia question then. So I know with like a druid, there's the whole thing about cloning low. Right, you clone the enemy, you get somebody low, you clone them at the last second, and then the healer can't heal them, and then usually you get a DR back, so then you can CC the healer and then close out the kill. Would you do the same thing with MC?
You potentially can. The problem with MC is that it's channeled, right? So it's a lot easier to stop for the other guys after you land it, right? If they don't have a kick or any stun or anything, then yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But if they have something to stop the MC, it's a lot more susceptible to that.
Fair enough. And then you're locked out of Shadow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Then you can't Shadow Word Death, then you can't Shadow Man, then you can't Mind Blast. It's okay.
Yep.
That's a
lot of stuff on Shadow right now.
Yeah. So for support then, so like I said, you had the mind control. I know you have the second screen with the AoE fear. That's pretty fun.
Yep.
Shackle Undead. I know that people talk about every often. You can do that on a death night when they turn themselves undead.
Yep.
I think
on the Lichborn.
Yeah, when they Lichborn, and you can also use it on some pets if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so hunters actually have an undead pet they can use this expansion. So a lot of them are using it because it means the mage can't poly it. And usually mage wants to poly the pet so they can combust. So hunters have been using the undead pet so that the mage can't poly it. They have to ring it.
Okay.
Or
But
the
then you can
priest
just shackle it. Yeah.
Yep.
All
So
right.
if the priest is good and sees that, they can do the shackle for the mage. But then, that requires a little bit of synergy, a talking from the team, so potentially it doesn't get done as effectively as if the mage is just doing it himself. So that's, I guess, why they're using it.
Fair enough. You always get through that little crack of communication and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
And you guys have a dispel, right?
Yeah, priests have defensive and offensive dispel. Disc actually has a talent that they can take and gives them two defensive dispels, which is super useful, actually. I'm really appreciating how good that is on Disc, actually. Since I've been playing Holy lately, and they don't have it. So, yeah, I miss that a lot. That's super good on Disc.
Sorry. This is me being dumb. What's the difference between an offensive and a defensive dispel?
So, offensive dispel is on enemies is like a purge.
Okay.
Like what Shaman has. And defensive dispel is on teammates. It removes, like, poly, all that stuff.
Okay. All right. And I'm assuming that has a pretty low mana cost then, so you can just spam it.
Defensive is pretty low. Offensive was quite a lot, and then they nerfed it in BFA, and it's pretty low now as well. It's usually a good trade, I think, against something like a Resto Druid. If you have good pressure, you can like try and spam Dispel Hots, right? And it's usually a good mana trade.
Okay.
So it's not where it used to be a bad mana trade for you, and you would only really do it on really important stuff. Now it's even / a good trade. So yeah, it's not a super expensive spell.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's I think that's always kind of a question on the purges. Like, is it worth it or not? So it's nice to hear that that's good. Sorry, one quick question again. For the damage, I know. So the big thing why people are using Holy Paladins pretty much exclusively is because not only are they pretty much good in a whole bunch of ways, but they also can put out some pretty good damage. Would you say that Disc Priest damage is about equal, or like how good a damage are you actually doing?
Disc burst is less for sure. Disc is more. You bring a disc more because they can do more sustained damage.
Okay.
Because they're not. How do I put this? They're not constrained by having to use globals on heals as much because they're damage heals as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a bit of both, and you just bring that for that sustain. Whereas something like a Holy Paladin or maybe a Holy Priest has a lot more burst on demand.
Okay. So I think somebody was saying that a Holy Paladin can do around 15k easy. Is that about the same for Disc then, or would you say Disc is lower but Disc, it's sustained?
It depends on if you get to death, right? Because if they get under 20%, you can death, and usually that's like 4k ish on Disc if it doesn't crit. And then you have like a Mind Games is about 4k ish, and then Mind Blasts feels pretty lackluster. It's maybe like 2k ish.
Okay.
And then a Penance is like 3.5 to 4k, something like that.
Okay.
So a rotation would be something like a Mind Games into a Penance, into a Solace, into maybe if they're low, then Death, or if not, then a Mind Blast, something like that. So I'd say it's on the low side, right, of 15. It's like maybe 10 to 15, but also you have to cast. That's the thing with Palas, right? It's all instant.
Yeah.
Whereas Priests, you actually have to cast, so it's stoppable.
Yeah.
You expose yourself more for it.
Oh, that reminds me. Sorry, I was going to ask that question later, but I'm going to ask it now. Sure. So with Disc Priest, then, how are you fighting? Are you juking a lot to try to bait the kicks so that you can free cast, or do you just sometimes say screw it, eat the kick, knowing that then you can free cast after that?
So with Disc, I don't fake that much. It's very situational, right? But mostly you don't really fake because you have two schools. Obviously, you have like Penance and Smite being on Holy.
Yeah.
Solace is on Holy. Shield is on Holy. Most of your cooldowns, if not all of your cooldowns, I think, are on Holy. And then a lot of your damage is on Shadow and Shadow Mend, obviously. And Shadow Mend's your spammable heal, so you can actually bait out kicks with things like Shadow Mend, Mind Games, Mind Blast, that sort of thing, and then get a free Penance, whether that be offensive or defensively. And then usually you'd throw in another global after that, and by that time your kick, is gone, and then you can go back to doing what you want to do on Shadow.
Okay.
Well, you don't really waste any time faking. Maybe you fake and they don't kick, or maybe you fake and they do kick, but you still wasted that second or whatever not casting it essentially.
It's better to just cast away, and then whatever they kicked out, hopefully they kick shadow, and then just move on to your holy where you really want to be casting. So all right,
and that you have a lot of tools, I guess, to kind of bait people out into kicking something that you don't really want to cast, because people are scared. People are really scared of mind games, and people are really scared of Door of Shadows, just because they don't want to get mind games. They don't want to get fear. People die to mind games, so they're scared of it, like really scared.
Yeah, so I've kicked it every time I can.
Yeah, for sure. Whereas it's really only like super threatening if, for example, the healer is in CC and then you're in a stun or getting stunned or something like that, and the healer can't dispel it. Like if the healer can dispel it, usually it's completely fine and doesn't really do a lot because the damage is not that high.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think somebody in chat they're saying get kicked on shadow. So I guess that's your preferred, and then because I mean they only have so many kicks, right? So guarantee you're going to get off what you want eventually.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Okay. Talents. So we talked about this offline. So normally we run. I guess I'll run through these really quickly. But you said it's pretty much a cookie cutter. Like there's not much changes in the actual talent tree.
Yeah. So there's most of the time. I'll just run through it real quick if you want. Like what you run most of the time, and then I'll talk about the changes you can make.
Actually, yeah. Let's and then we'll talk about what those are also as you do it. So
sure. So mostly you want castigation, and then you want body and soul, power word solace, psychic voice, sins of the many, purge the wicked, and lenience.
Okay, so pretty much straight down the left except for power word solace.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
It's kind of sad.
All right, so castigation gives you one more bolt of holy light on your penance.
Yep.
Body and soul, that's the one where people move faster when they're shielded.
Yep.
Your power word solace, so that strikes a enemy with holy power, dealing some spell damage, and restoring 1% of your mana. Okay, I can see why.
Yep,
psychic voice, so your scream is reduced by 30 seconds, so you can scream more often. Do you have that in IRL, Hydra? Or is that
what, psychic scream?
Yeah, so you can scream more often. I'm just.
I mean, I would, but my missus is asleep, so I think she'd be quite annoyed.
All right, sorry.
I'm storming in here like, whoa.
Why are you yelling? I'm asleep.
Yeah.
So sins of the many, your damage increased up to 12%, diminishing for each ally affected by your atonement. Okay, so. All right, I guess that's a trade-off there. Purge the Wicked, that's one where your Shadow Word Pain is replaced, and you basically dot a person with fire damage. And, there's a first strike of shadow damage or fire damage, and then there's a dot of fire damage over 20 seconds. And that will actually spread if you penance the person. And that helps with your atonement, if I remember, because that's basically turns into a free hot, right?
Yeah, essentially you want to try and get as many dots up as you can, assuming that people are not regularly getting CC'd, because then you just kind of lose the mana for it because it gets removed, right?
Sucks.
Okay. And yeah, it's. I'll go. I'll go into that row more in a minute. You carry on.
And then lenience, which is the last one. So your atonement reduces the damage taken by 3%. So everybody that has atonement on them. Yeah, it has an automatic damage reduction. That's pretty kick butt. All right. Okay. I'm hands off. So tell me, why do we want that? And what would be the nuances?
Schism, there was a time in BFA Season 3, I think it was, and potentially Season 2 as well. I wasn't playing the game in Season 2 and 3. I came back at the end of Season 3. And everyone was playing Schism. I was like, okay. And the reason for that was you had your essence thing, right? You could do, what was it, Ancient Flame. or concentrated flame rather. You could do that, and it would get scaled by your schism. And you also had PvE damage trinkets. They would get scaled by your schism by like 40%. So you could do like crazy burst with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in season 4, they made it so that didn't work anymore, and schism only affected your spells, and not concentrated flame either. And then and I think castigation got buffed as well, or penance got buffed actually, that patch, by like a good bit, and your mastery and stuff like that. So then castigation was better again. And then now in Shadowlands they nerfed schism by 15%. It's only 25% now as well. So schism is basically just dead because of that. You can play it in like some meme twos comps pretty much for like one shots, but generally castigation is better. Twist is good if you're playing against something generally in 3s that has like a lot of CC and a lot of burst, so that you come out and you want to radiant someone and just top them because you have twist healing. So maybe something like RMP. But generally, again, if you're doing a lot of potential atonement healing, then castigation is superior. So I would say like 80-90% of the time I run castigation rather than twist.
Okay.
Body and soul, actually a little bit of a toss-up sometimes at the moment to feather.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit of body and soul is you get an extra buff. So during your rapture, it makes shield harder to purge, which is super handy. It basically halves the chance that they're going to get it, right? It's 50-50.
Okay.
And then it's just like, it's handy on yourself. If you want to go for speed, you're going to reapply atonement. You're gonna get the shield as well. If you're going to use it on someone else, then they get bonus speed. It's just a passive gain. And the global just has more value than feather, right? Which is only speed.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that feather is potentially nice is because it doesn't cost mana, and shield is really expensive right now.
Yeah.
So if you don't care that much about the extra value for your global, then you can just use feathers, which is something I've started using more lately. I pretty much exclusively ran body and soul at the start of the expansion. I've just kind of started picking up feather a little bit.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's better for my mana against some stuff.
I think I can see feather being more useful in rated battlegrounds as well, or just random, because chances are you're going to be able to put that, and I think you could definitely put that in front of like a flag carrier and just watch them rock it versus a shield. Yep. You may not be able to get to them. Like,
I actually don't know what people run in RPGs. I'm not sure on that tier.
I think it's feather.
Okay.
But
I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
I think.
I have no idea.
It could be body and soul. I don't know.
Anyone in chat know? Out of interest?
That's a darn good question.
I'd be interested to learn.
Yeah. We'll find out later. Probably by the time we reach the bottom, they'll let us know.
Yeah. So, yeah. Next tier, Solace. Mindbender got nerfed, I believe, in Shadowlands.
Really?
Oh, no. You know what it was? Shadow Fiend starts giving mana back now. They didn't before, and Shadow Fiend now gives mana back on hits.
Oh,
so
finally. Okay.
You get mana back from Fiend, and you get mana back from Solace. So generally, you use it more. There's very few situations where Mindbender is better.
Mm-hmm.
I found that Shield Discipline gives more mana against Dock Cleaves, interestingly.
Oh, really?
But other than that, not... Yeah, other than that, you don't really run it. It's just teams with really high AoE damage output. It's good value against.
Okay. I guess it just because there's more chance that they're going to... But I think melee cleave would be more likely to go through a shield than a dock.
The problem with melee cleave is less of your like effective healing is shield.
Oh.
Because when you rapture against the dock cleave, you're throwing out 3 shields, right? But against the melee cleave, they're just on 1 target usually. So yeah, they just don't go through as many shields in total.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. But as you said, powered solace is pretty much the go-to then.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'd say like 90-95% of the time I go solace, maybe more.
Fair enough. Next year?
Next is Psychic Voice, which you go most of the time. Occasionally you go for Shining Force, depending on map. If you get like something like Blades and you're not pushing for Fears on cooldown, then you can go Shining Force, which is a really cool spell, by the way. I love Shining Force. Oh, yeah. It's a shame we can't take it more. But yeah, I'd say again, like 95% of the time, maybe more, is just Psychic Voice.
Yeah. And Dominant Mind, do you take that at all ever?
I believe that's the worst talent in the whole game.
Really?
Straight up, I think it's the worst talent in the whole game out of any spec, any class. It's. I'm gonna rage about it later. Don't worry.
Oh, all right. Okay.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get to there. All right. Sins of the Many versus Contrition versus Shadow Covenant.
So I'd love Contrition to be better, but I feel like it's just underscaled. Sins of the Many is just like a flat damage boost. Which in turn is a flat atonement healing boost, right? So yeah, it's just the safe pick here. Contrition just doesn't add enough healing to be worth it, and Shadow Covenant is like, I think you could cancel it in beta, but now you can't. So it's like you can go for some meme big damage with it, but then what if you need to use a cooldown? Oops, you can't. You're locked on Holy for like 9 seconds. Yeah, you just can't. You can't use it.
Wow. Yeah.
So they've tried reworking it, and it just doesn't really. It doesn't fit into PvP really. So. Right. Yeah, pretty much never, unless again, like the Schism meme spec I was talking about earlier. But it's just for the fun of it.
Okay. And
Purge the Wicked is just the least bad one. This is a big thing with the disc talent tree. You pick the least bad thing, which is it's a sour taste, but. Yeah, Purge the Wicked essentially is extra damage on your Shadowed Pain, which means extra atonement healing, and you can spread it with Penance, which is just less mana spent on it, right?
Yep.
Divine Star and Halo, both basically the same spell. Divine Star was good in, what was it? Was it what?
Yes.
A couple of expansions ago, and it was proccing Surge of Light, so you got free flash heals. So Divine Star was really good then, but now it doesn't do that. Now it just does nothing. So
now it just throws a ball right in front of you, and if it hits somebody, then it heals them or damages them. So
I think that the amount of healing it does makes it worse than just putting up a Purge the Wicked in terms of raw healing and damage done.
Oh,
it's like it's so bad. And Halo is again just the same thing. Because they're balanced around like raid content, right? And they're not even balanced around Mythic Plus, are they? They're literally just balanced around raid content. And so because there's less players, the global has less value.
Interesting.
So yeah, you should take Purge the Wicked because of that.
Okay. I just have to call it to the chat room. They came back out of the top 10 disc priests in RBGs: 6-run Feather, 4-run Shield. So 6-run Angelic, 4-run Body and Soul.
So yeah, it's just a toss-up then.
Yeah.
It sounds like they don't know either. Like no one knows, dude. Not even the top RPG guys. It sounds like it's personal preference though.
Yeah, me too. Could deal with also depending if the snapshot was during an FC map versus a node map or a resource map. It could be other things too, right? But it definitely sounds preferential. But I mean, just the same, right? It depends on if you're playing. What map you're playing, what comp you're playing against, Feather versus Body and Soul, whatever.
Maybe if they have a lot of Purge, then they go Body and Soul.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think don't know how valuable Purge would be in RPGs really. It's not like a good AoE global, right? It's really just doing it to kill one guy.
Yeah, exactly. I think you'd probably master spell, but I don't think anybody would sit there and just purge the crap out of
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. And then, on to the last one. So, Lenience versus Spirit Shell versus Evangelism.
This is the one that boils my blood. Because Lenience, I think, is the most boring talent I've ever seen.
Well, come on. It's a flat passive damage reduction.
3% less damage take. Imagine you're leveling up as a priest and you've never played the game before. And you're like, yes, I get my last tier talent. And you get that.
I'd probably ignore it. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly, though. It's so like... Bleh. It's they need to rework it so badly. It's just I don't know. I'm gonna rage.
All right.
But the thing is, you take it, right?
Okay.
And the reason you take it, right, is because evangelism is great and all in PvE. Actually, people don't even take that anymore in PvE, right? I think they go Spirit Shell now.
I don't know.
Is evangelism just dead?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy.
I have to ask chat again on that one. Is evangelism dead, chat? Because I know people were talking about Spirit Shell and PvE, but anyway, so evangelism is just not worth the global because you don't have many players. So again, it's scaled around having a lot of players in the group, right? You like reset a tournament on like 15 guys or whatever. But because you only have 3 people, it's just not worth pressing because it only extends it by 6 seconds, and you might as well just play Archangel instead, right? Because then it just essentially doubles your duration.
Okay.
So evangelism is just never played because of that. And then Spirit Shell is new this expansion. Before it was the AoE shield, which was also not taken because it was balanced around larger group sizes. So the shield was really low for smaller group sizes, and it was dispellable. So you just it's just worthless basically.
Why Blizzard?
It was like a 3k shield or something on 3 guys, which it was just useless. So then you're left with lenience. So again, you're just taking the least bad out of the 3, right? So now it's Spirit Shell, right, instead of the AoE shield, which unfortunately replaces Rapture, which is like your best cooldown. So if you take that, you're making yourself worse. So you take lenience.
Yeah. So again, like you said, it's the worst of the 3, or the least harmful of the 3.
Yeah.
Wow. So basically, the Disc Priest talent tree is the politicians of the world.
It's questionable. let's just put it that way.
Okay. All right. I'm getting dark here. Yeah, my jokes are getting horrible.
But the thing is, right? It's like, it's like some sadistic shit from Blizzard, right? Sorry, bleep. Because it's like fine. No one wants to take lenience, but everyone has to
because they have nothing better to choose.
Yeah, it's brutal, man.
Yeah. Okay, back to chat. They said PvEers take Spirit Shell 90%.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's evangelism's just dead then, because I'm pretty sure they don't take that in Mythic Plus either, and you definitely don't in PvP, and you don't in RBGs. I'm pretty sure either, because you can just use Archangel, right? So it's just dead.
Yeah,
just nerf Spirit Shell as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing that they'd probably take lenience because you'd be better off just having a flat damage reduction than because you're gonna have if somebody's taking damage, they're gonna have atonement, right? Yeah. How hard is it just to pop a shield on somebody? Boom. Now they have a shield. Now they have effective health. Now they can actually be healed. In the meantime, so somebody has to chunk through the shield, and it takes more damage to chunk through the shield because they're taking 3% less. Yeah. Oh wait, that's a good question. Mathematically, then, is that damage before shield or after shield?
I think it's just like as soon as you shield, right? It's
So it's 3% reduction on the amount the shield's taking. So if I was hitting you for let's say 1,000, and then you shielded somebody, now they have the 3% reduction. I'm only hitting them for 970.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how it interacts with other damage reductions, whether it's like multiplicative or additive or what, but it's
okay.
Very not noticeable, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, three hit points every 100.
If you live on 3%, you can say thanks, lenience. It happens. To be fair, it happens.
Yeah. Ryan, how many times has it been during AWC and somebody's lived at 1%?
Yeah, it happens.
Right. So you guys do some crazy stuff, though. I'm not gonna lie. You guys are so greedy on your cooldown sometimes on that.
Well, it's mostly just having played situations before, and based on what they've used, what you can get away with using, and maybe they get like a crazy crit train or something, and potentially they can force out an extra CD, or if you don't use it, then someone dies, and it happens, right? You see people getting one shot sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like poker, right? You're playing the odds.
Yep. It's playing chess at the speed of NASCAR without a helmet on. And yeah.
I mean, there was a guy actually that made a really good post, and this is outside the scope probably. I'm going to touch on it though, but
Go for it.
I think because I think it's interesting. So there was a guy that made a post on Reddit about the Rogue Legendary, which gives you 4 crits, I think, or guaranteed crits for 4 seconds. Sorry.
Okay.
And why it was like so bad for the rogue class, because essentially everyone that has they have to balance around their legendary now, right? Which creates a situation that can happen potentially like 1 in 100 and something tries, right? If you don't have the legendary, but they have to balance around it because it exists. So now if you don't have that legendary, you just feel like you do no damage.
Yeah.
Because that situation doesn't happen outside of this many times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same thing here, right? You use your cooldowns based on the fact that this situation where you can die is potentially going to happen, like this very minor amount of times.
Yeah.
So it happens, but it's rare. It's rare.
Like you said, back to poker, how many people get away with a royal flush?
Yeah.
Versus how many people win with 2 pair.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's the main talents. Pivot to the PvP talents. There's actually, I was surprised how this list isn't that long. I was expecting more talents.
Really?
Yeah, just compared to some of the other specs we've been going through. Like, yeah, not every talent tree has the same number of PvP talents.
Yeah, it's
Shocker.
interesting actually. It's weird.
Not that I remember. Okay, so Archangel, Dark Archangel, Dome of Light, Purification, Purified Resolve, Searing Light, Strength of Soul, Thought Steel, Trinity, and Ultimate Radiance. So what? Okay, how about this? Which ones are you automatically not touching ever?
One sec, my cat's going crazy.
Okay, I was wondering what that was.
Come on, what do you want? Standard, open the door and cat walks off. Absolute classic. Right.
Standard cat.
What ones am I never touching? I would say Strength of Soul.
Okay.
Strength of Soul and potentially Searing Light. Because Strength of Soul was... When was Strength of Soul? But Strength of Soul used to do it used to do 2 things, right? It used to heal based on the shield, and it used to give the damage reduction, right? It's like 15% less damage, fizz damage taken.
Yeah.
And then they nerfed the heal because they made shield spammable and added Weaken Soul. Because shield used to have a cooldown, right?
Yes.
But then they removed that and then added Weaken Soul. But they didn't change this talent. Other than the fact that they removed the healing from it, right? Because you could just spam a heal.
Yeah.
Because you could just spam shields. Oh no, you could spam shield. There was 2 changes. There was the Weaken Soul change. So they removed the cooldown when they made shield into essentially what plea was. So then there was no cooldown on the shield, and that's when they removed the healing from this talent.
Yeah.
Because you could just spam the instant heal. And then they added Weaken Soul.
Mm-hmm. That sounds right. Yeah.
And then they didn't change the talent back. So now it's just the fizz damage. And then they did another thing, right? They made the absorb amount on shield way less. Because it became essentially what plea was. They baked it in.
Yeah, it was too strong.
Yeah, so essentially this is worth less now because the shield isn't as strong.
Yeah.
So that like 3, I guess, changes in total have happened detrimental to this talent, and the talent has never been changed. So it's just it's dead at the moment, pretty much.
And it doesn't help. It's only physical damage too, right? Like
yeah.
Okay.
So they're doing I believe a PvP talent update in 9.1. They said, right?
Yeah, they mentioned that during BlizzCon Online that they're going to do a PvP talent wash.
It's going to be hype. Mm-hmm. Really looking forward to that, actually. I hope it's not just like 1 talent per spec. I'd be so sad if it is. I'm hoping like it's going to be like a massive PvP talent overhaul. All the talents get looked at, balanced out, like huge meta shifts. I feel like I'm being optimistic, but it would be so sick if it is.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and Searing Light as well. You don't really use Searing Light.
No, yeah, you're saying that just because it does. It increases your smite damage, which sounds good. But...
The problem with come on, cat, off you get. Yeah, so the problem with smite is they nerfed at this expansion, right? They made Mind Blast absorb damage.
Mm-hmm.
And smite is just damage now. It doesn't do anything else. So essentially, the only reason you're taking this, the smite damage is super bad, and you're just taking this to reset your penance. But the problem is that if they go on you, you can't really smite that much.
No.
So then your talent choice is essentially rendered useless, and it's just like not a safe pick into most stuff because of that.
Okay.
Um,
Even if you bait the kick with a Shadow Mend and then switch back to smite.
Yeah, I mean you can do, but the problem is that because your smite is worth so little, you're just falling behind.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Okay.
All
right.
It would arguably be okay into stuff where you can heal a lot with Atonement, like some caster cleaves, but again, then you're spamming smite, so you can get kicked on Holy, which is really dangerous.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
So I don't use Searing Light much.
Yeah. That makes sense. You know, you say it that way. Archangel, what about that one?
Archangel, actually, again, I don't use that much. It's still on global. Everything else got taken off global. Archangel didn't, so it's just in a really bad spot because of that. Because it's 20%, I believe, more healing done.
Yeah.
So like, imagine you use Archangel and you have a global, and then you do 4 Shadow Mends. Like, and now finally you're gaining benefit from it. Because you used that initial global at the start, which could have just been another Shadow Mend.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah.
All right.
Like, arguably you can use it and then Radiance, because Radiance has a cooldown, so it's going to make it really strong. But if you're Radiancing, generally you don't have time to use that global on it. So it's just, like, the ways that it would be good, it isn't because of the global.
All right.
Yeah.
Dark.
I can hear that you're enjoying the travesty of Priest Talents.
Well, it's just like, this one looks really good. No, you don't want that one. This one looks really good. No, you don't want that one. This one, no, you don't want that. It's like, okay. Okay, Dark Archangel. I remember people were running this for a while. Especially it was super awesome. You guys would go, here's super. Oh my goodness, they're running Dark Angel, and then boom, something died. It's like, holy.
Yeah.
Does that still happen?
You use it a lot at the moment, I would say.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think like maybe half games, 50% of the time I have Dark Archangel at the moment.
Nice. Okay.
Because the game pace is so high, and you can actually force a lot of stuff out with it. If you're doing a big go, it's not negligible damage.
It's basically power infusing. Well, not basically, but you're boosting your teammates and their damage. So yeah. It's just
it takes a little bit of practice to use well, because you have to have atonement on people for it to work on them.
Yes.
So if you're about to do a go, and then you're spending the time, shielding people on your team to get atonement on them just so you can dark, it's like already 3 globals during the go. It's like you're going to be way behind. So it requires you to have good atonement management before the go.
Wouldn't you just Radiance and then Dark Arc?
You can, but it's very expensive to use Radiance. So at the moment, Disc is really, really struggling with mana.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you use Radiance just for that, again, it's two globals instead of 3, and you just chunked like 7% of your mana or something.
But you're gonna win. It's worth it. No, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Dome. I think we talked about this. Everybody sees.
Yeah.
That's like
Dome is
that's
standard.
a guaranteed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much against. I'd say like 90%, maybe 80% of games I run Dome. There's the occasional Wizard Cleave where I don't. Just because it's stronger to just run away. Like, if you can run and lost someone, you're not taking any damage, right? You don't want to just Dome and then stand in it and just still get some damage.
If you see you're up against a monk, do you not Dome just because you're going to get ringed out of it?
Well, you can do a trick with it. So if I'm playing against a monk, I will, when he pops his Zuan go, his first really big go, right? Then I use Rapture on that go and Trinket usually. And then on his second go, which is usually a little bit less big, I will go and stand near a wall and then Dome near the wall. And then he'll bounce you either against the wall, and it's fine because the go isn't as big, so you can do a penance or some shields or whatever while you're getting bounced, and then you'll still be in the Dome, and then you can do some mends if you get kicked and you're fine. Or he's going to bounce you out to one of the sides. And if that happens, because of where you're standing, right, you stand between the center of the Dome and the wall. And then he has to bounce you out one side, right? He has to offset the ring to get you out. But then you can just run back in the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 5,000 IQ right there. Holy crap. Okay.
You can do it at the start of his fists as well, right? So he has to cancel the fists to do it. So he loses a lot of damage.
Yes, and that's huge right now because they made the fix to monks and the earth, wind, and fire with fists as well. So okay,
Yep.
all right.
I'm not sure if they got stronger or weaker because they got pet damage as well, didn't they? They gained like 12% pet damage, but I feel like they're not as strong now.
My understanding
saying-
is it was an overall nerf because
Okay.
before, if they were fisting with their clones, and then they canceled fist and went on to something else, the clones were still fisting and then would also do the other whatever.
Right, yeah.
But
So
now
that's where the crazy
now they
burst
stop
is
and
coming
do
from.
whatever the next thing is.
Okay.
So overall, so instead of a stacking doing it at the same time, it's just one or the other. So loss.
Yep. Makes sense.
Purification is one you said where Purify has 2 charges. That's one you miss as a Holy
Yes.
Priest.
This
So-
is really good into mages, I would say. Mages and maybe Ellie Shamans.
okay.
I pretty much always run it into them.
How would you use it on Ellie Shaman?
You just get rid of the flame shock all the time. It's super annoying for them.
Yeah, they can't do any damage without the sauce. All right. Purified Resolve.
It's good in some really niche cases, I think, in 2s. So you can run it into like, if you've ever run into like a Shadow Priest Pala or something, and they go for really high dampening and just dot everything and just annoying in general to kill. And you can just run this with the double dispel and constantly dispel all their dots. As soon as you see Devouring Plague, instantly dispel it and just constantly do that. And you just end up racking up a lot of extra healing by having Purified Resolve just for free. It's super cheesy, but you can play really defensive and use it like that.
All right.
Other than that, it's not really that useful.
Would that be good against a Shadow Cleave with Shadow Priest and Aflock?
I don't even run double dispel against Affliction Lock a lot of the time right now because everything just has UA anyway.
Fair. Yeah. Last thing you want to do is dispel a bunch of UAs. That
Yeah,
would
it's
hurt.
like it's rough, man. UA hurts right now.
Yeah. Thought Steal. Now this one, I remember when they implement this was really cool. I love the idea of Thought Steal.
I think when it got first like released or they told everyone, what they were adding, it was like it looked really, really hype.
Yeah.
In reality, because of the things it steals against a lot of stuff, because it only works against casters, right? And against most casters, it's just not worth what it steals. Except mages. Against mages, it's arguably really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is against mages, you have to choose, right? Because right now you want to use Dome, right? You want to use Double Dispel, and you most of the time need to use Radiance because damage is so high. So it's like, what do you drop now to take Thought Steal?
Yeah.
It's tough. So yeah, it's good
That's unfortunate.
against mages, but you've got to figure out what to drop.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we can maybe run Trinity instead, or don't need Dome, then it's going to see more play. But yeah, at the moment, there's just not room for it as a PvP talent, which is a shame.
So basically, on the next pass, they'd have to nerf Dome so you don't have to take it. Then you'd be forced to take Thought Steal.
Please don't do that, please. Cut. Come on, we gotta go.
Right. Okay. Trinity, you said you guys don't take it, right?
So most of the time in 2s, I take Trinity.
Okay.
I don't take it if I'm playing against double DPS, I take Radiance. If I'm playing against a monk, usually I take Radiance. Although I haven't seen them that much on disc since the new patch, maybe you can get away with just Trinity now since they got weaker, I guess. But yeah, against everything else, I just play Trinity, and then in 3s, I pretty much always play Radiance. They're pretty much mutually exclusive, except against something like a Warlock. I think playing Radiance and then Trinity as well against a Warlock or whatever Warlock team in 3s is good because you can smooth out a lot of his just sustained damage, and then when he pops all his CDs, you can stay relatively safe with a Radiance.
Okay.
And get really good value out of it because it heals everyone for maximum amount.
Well, yeah, popping up, instant casting Radiance and healing at 250%. Like that's the one you said. You just pop come out of a CC chain, pop Radiance, and everybody's full again, and off you go.
Yeah.
So
And this is kind of the problem with disc right now. Like you rely on it a lot to recover. You don't really have any other really good recovery tools. Mend obviously is a cast and interruptible, but also doesn't actually heal that much. And Radiance is really expensive.
yeah, well, you're saying like 7% mana right off the go. Like
Yeah,
that's
and so this is why discs are always compared to
Yeah.
other healers, just because of Radiance.
Wow.
And this is the problem for Blizzard, right? Because if priests play Trinity, then they can actually be competitive with most other healers on mana. If they don't play Radiance, then they're pretty competitive on mana because the damage spells are really cheap. But this kind of creates two types of disc priest, right? So then how do you balance the mana, right? You have the Radiance kind of longevity where they actually really need help with their mana somehow. And then you have the Trinity disc priest mana, which is if they buff their mana, going to be super OP.
Yeah.
So they need to do something with the talent Radiance itself. I think potentially reducing the healing and then making the spell cost less mana or something like that.
Fair.
Would be a good way to go because right now disc priests are really good healers, but only for like 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes, and then they're
All right.
So yeah, that'd be something I'd like to see. If we don't see other healers' mana nerfed, potentially like druids, maybe monks, and monks just got mana buffs to be fair, so I don't see that happening. And
Yeah.
shamans' mana are really good as well. So
Yeah. And
because I like
paladins,
playing
I
red
mean,
mana.
you can't drink as a disc like a paladin or anybody else, eh?
Palas just got crushed on mana lately, didn't they? They're in a bad spot now
Oh,
with regards to mana.
I missed
They
that.
get a lot. Yeah,
Okay.
they nerfed. What did they nerf? They nerfed Holy Shock mana cost by like 2%, and apparently it like hits them really hard. And they nerfed something else. The patch before, I can't remember what it was, but they got hit. They got hit twice on mana, and then they got their Divine Favor hit as well. So yeah, Palas can go now.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Druids are, if druids become meta, they're going to be mana gods.
Interesting.
It's coming. The dampening meta is coming, dude. Brace yourself.
I heard, I think it was Stoops was saying that he's starting to see a bunch of Dampa.
Yep.
He's
I mean, if you watch the AWC, right, a lot of the games go long, not because everyone's playing to be damp, right, but more just because everyone's playing well and using their cooldowns defensively at the correct time. So people are not getting kills because people are playing well to stop the kills. And then the games go longer because of it, which I think is a good thing, right? And I think that mana should come into play more in that.
So I'll say as a viewer, when games push over 8 minutes, it's too long as a viewer.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. I agree.
If you see a kill up towards dampening or into like the 6-minute mark, that's fine. But once you start pushing up past 8, it's I'm checked out. I just wait until I hear somebody go, "Oh, and he died." And it's like, oh, you look up and it's like 40% dampening. It's like, oh, yay, okay.
I think
Yeah.
that honestly, anything is like 5 minutes should be the upper limit of game length. I think is ideal. Right now, a lot of healers don't actually consider mana, I feel like, because cooldowns ran out first. So it's almost like there's no real decision made in spell choice based on the mana cost of it for a lot of classes, which would be something that I think would be nice to see. Like you can play and use a less safe spell or, a less safe cooldown.
Yep.
But it costs more mana, something like that.
Okay.
So that would be nice to see, I think. But yeah, I agree. I think the pace of the game right at the start was really good. One second, my cat's crazy.
No
Come on,
worries.
get out. 3 cats, man. Not a good shout. So much regret. It's unbelievable.
There's a joke there, but I'm gonna keep this PG-13. All right.
I've lost my train of thought.
No worries.
Yeah, no. So the burst at the start of the expansion was really good, right? It
Yeah.
was the games were really fast, and we're starting to lose a little bit of that, which is a shame. I think it would be nice to try and tend into that direction again.
And I remember Blizzard was saying that they wanted the burst, like they tuned for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're kind of hitting that limit where stats are, primary and secondary stats are starting to just push into that zone.
Yeah,
I know
everyone's getting full soul binds and stuff as well.
Yeah, a lot of the defensive stuff. There's all the all the different conduits and whatnot. I remember this being the same thing with many of the other season ones, where right at the go, there's a whole bunch of bursts, there's a whole bunch of damage, and then as stats started climbing, everybody started gearing up. Then it started slowing the games down a bit. So I think we're right about there. But I hear what you're saying, that if games are going that fast, that healers aren't making that what if question before they cast a spell. They're just randomly not randomly. They're just casting
the safest spell.
Yeah,
regardless of mana cost.
Exactly, because they expect that it's going to. They're not going to mana out the games, and at the end of the day, if they're manaing out, chances are the other healer is manaing out, and so it just becomes who kills the other healer faster, right?
I think, and I actually tweeted this the other day. I think it was one of Ven's tweets, and he was asking about dampening starting straight away to shorten games.
I saw that,
and I think that's in the situation that we're in right now. Would change up the meta and make games shorter for sure. So probably wouldn't be a bad thing with regards to like spectating or whatever. But also like the game shouldn't need dampening. It shouldn't need to exist.
Yeah.
Like,
well, dampening was brought in to give an end game, so eventually the game would end.
Yeah.
Because there was a while where dampening didn't exist, and we had. Well, it was a BlizzCon World Champions that came down to I think it was like 4 resets before the person won, and it was like 2 people running around ruins of Lordaeron or whatever. It was boring as heck.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It should the game should have a natural end point, whether that be mana and having mana tuned correctly, or damage being at a point, like just sustained damage being at a point where if a team is out of cooldowns, somebody will die regardless, and this will happen quicker, right? If sustained damage is higher and cooldowns are not as powerful, then games will naturally end faster because there won't be so much of a script essentially, which is like the cooldown trading. So people will have to use cooldowns just for like a normal go, just because people will die if a team makes good plays. And then, a team is going to run out of CDs as a result of this faster than the other team, and then they're going to die in under whatever arbitrary sort of time limit you want to try and aim for, so say 5 minutes. And I think you can do this with balance. If hypothetically Blizzard has, more resources for PvP and spends more time balancing, I think that is something that they should try to strive for, as opposed to relying on dampening as a mechanic, which I think is just really boring for everyone involved.
Well, I would say dampening on its own makes for its own fun tuning knob, though, right? They just have to decide when it comes into effect. It ends up creating the inevitable the inevitable end where somebody's going to die because nobody can be healed.
Yeah.
Right. I think the alternative, which is something kind of what you're saying, is that it'd be almost like an ever growing Heartstop aura over the whole, where people's cooldowns just kept taking longer and longer until finally there's no cooldowns anymore, and somebody would just die because.
Yeah, I mean, I think if somebody does a go, like there's 2 types of deaths, right? There's the type where the team just gets rotted down, right, and then eventually die, even when the healer's not in CC, just because they can't keep up anymore, and the other team has too much damage, right? And that's like the dampening death. And then the other kind of death is like say like an RMP death, where they execute a few goes really well. The other team has no trinkets. They CC the healer and kill the other guy in a stun, something like that. And I think as a viewer, that's like a way more entertaining way to see a game end.
Oh yeah,
So I think trying to replicate that more as like a natural endpoint. That's kind of what I'm trying to describe.
I understand. Yeah, I agree. Like from a viewer, like, I love it when all of a sudden you see the teams like do a hard swap to let's say the healer, because the healer had trinketed earlier and the trinket's still on CD, or or the really sneaky thing where they did an MC and put the person on the Holy Paladin can't bubble because he's on he's on forbearance, right? Because of the MC, and that's really cool. That's really fun to watch. The trying to see that happen and know why that happened, that's the hard part on those ones. Versus it's really easy to see, oh, the blue bar is down, that person can't heal anymore. Oh, okay. Oh, the green bar went down because the 40% dampening, the heal doesn't matter anymore. So
that's the I guess the catch-22 with WoW is like an esport, right? It's so hard to understand what's happening if you don't play the game.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been doing this for 2 years and I still don't know what's happening sometimes watching AWC. So let's just say that.
If you don't play the current meta, there's so many intricacies you won't understand. Like
oh yeah.
Just even if you played like the last expansion, there's new things that you won't.
Well, there's all the board power stuff. Look what happened when Unitas broke out the RMP with a holy priest.
Yeah, that was hype.
Yeah. And OTK, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
They never played a game. They're like, I don't know. Okay. The question that everybody asks, let's put a nail in the coffin.
Yep.
What covenant end stop?
Just Venthyr.
Just Venthyr?
Well, Venthyr is the easy choice, right?
Okay.
However, if you're playing tournaments, there might be some matchups where Night Fae is superior. Whether that be worth going on ladder remains to be seen. It depends how damn the game gets.
Okay.
Because Night Fae essentially is you get like a 20% damage reduction on your shield, and you get extra mana back. And so against certain comps where Mind Games is not that strong, or you can't get Mind Games off reliably, maybe Night Fae is the superior choice. It's kind of up in the air at the moment. I don't have a clear answer on that one. But if you don't know, go Venthyr. For now, go Venthyr.
When in doubt, do what people are doing in chat, which is look it up on the ladder and see what everybody else is doing. Because copy and paste helps. All right. What about like Necrolord and Kyrian? Is there anything that's valuable there, or is it just? Don't. I
think I've seen like 2 Kyrian priests so far this season.
Okay.
Kyrian was really good in the beta. Because the on use it was like 3-minute cooldown, but it was doing like really, really high damage. I think it was hitting for like 4k. The instant was hitting for like 4k. So you could do you could play it in like RMP, right? And then you could do a go and like almost kill someone yourself. When you popped it, it was really crazy damage. But then it got nerfed a few times, and now it just doesn't hit that hard. And if anyone stops you or remotely stops you or uses anything, then you kind of just like lose this 3-minute cooldown and don't really have anything else.
Interesting. I find it interesting that it would nerf Kyrian, but not nerf Venthyr.
Kyrian was nerfed for PvE.
Oh, of course.
Not for PvP.
All right, never mind. Yeah.
It was strong, I think, in Mythic Plus.
Okay. All right, never mind.
Standard.
All right. Conduits. Is there any ones that are a must and any that are
whatever? For potency, if you're playing Radiance, play with Radiance Conduit. It's insanely good. 50%, I think extra or something even higher. It's like 70% maybe even.
40%, and then it goes up depending on the ranks, up to 96%.
Yes, it gets crazy. It's so much, and then that scales with the 250, and so Radiance is hitting really hard with that.
Oh, all right.
So definitely, if you're playing Radiance, definitely pick that one up. And then the second one you can use, you usually want to try and take 2 potencies. The second one you want to try and go for either the Mind Games one or the Penance one. I personally prefer as disc the Penance one because it's just more reliable sustain. The mind games one has value, but usually not that much.
The mind games one, I'm not seeing that in the potency.
It's Shattered Perceptions. It's like the Covenant only one.
Oh, okay, that's why I didn't get to that. I was up higher. Okay.
It essentially makes mind games last 2 seconds longer, do more damage. I think it's like 20% at a good rank, more damage, and then 20% more absorb or something.
Yeah, it
or
starts at, according to Wowhead, starts at 13, goes up to 31.2.
Yeah.
Okay. Versus
that one's really good as Holy, because Holy mind games hits really hard.
Yeah. I can see that. Okay. And then what about for Endurance and Finesse?
So Endurance, you usually want to prioritize the Fade one, because your Fade is not on global cooldown. So if anyone ever it looks like they're going to do a go on you or is training you, you can just use it on cooldown pretty much.
All right.
It's just free damage reduction. And it's about 10%. So it's worth using.
Yeah.
Nice. And then the other one is the Desperate Prayer one, which essentially gives you an extra heal after you Desperate Prayer, heal over time, I think it is.
Yeah. So that's the the Fade one, that's called Translucent Image, and then the Desperate Prayer is called Light's Inspiration. So and those both go up to 14.4%. So that's significant. All right.
And then the shield one is generally really bad. The shield that it gives is not worth. Like you would use it against a dot cleave or something, but then you might as well just Fade, and you're going to reduce more damage than you would get from the extra absorb. So there's just no point.
Ouch. All right. Okay. And you probably only get one endurance anyways, so it's.
I think which tree is it? Is it Theater? One of the trees gets 2.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're only getting 1, then just get the Fade one.
Fair. All right, and then
finesse. Yeah. So you have a couple of options, but generally you want the Dispel Mana cost one. That one's really good. And then if you're playing the Self Grip Legendary, then you can play with the Grip cooldown reduction one, because it makes your grip like 1 minute cooldown or something, and then you have 2 charges of it, and so you can grip around a lot if you're getting cleaved down.
All right, that's the move. I like that.
Little segue there.
Yeah, I wonder how often that's used in RPGs then, because life gripping is.
Yeah, I don't think that one. I think in RPGs people run the Penitent one, I believe. Again, need chat for that one. I'm not 100% sure.
No worries. All right. Okay. Well, chat's being the third co-host, which is awesome. All right.
Yeah. They're carrying our knowledge gaps right now. Thanks, chat.
Chat's awesome for that. All right, and then so we started this. You mentioned legendaries, definitely the Sefus. Yep. The reduced CC is always handy for everybody.
Yeah, that one's pretty staple, I would say, at the moment. In 3v3 for sure.
Okay, is that like? Are you talking live ladder? Or are you talking over on the TR?
No, just like on ladder. I think I run that in like 95 or something % of threes games. I run that, and then I run the self grip one against like cleaves.
Okay.
And teams where I need to regularly try and fear, like if I'm playing jungle and I want to try and fear off like a scatter or trap or something, then I'll grip to somebody to get it because it's more reliable that I'm going to get there without getting CC'd.
Mm-hmm. All right, that makes sense. So, oh boy, okay, but you only carry. I'm just saying, like the Sefu's one, because that's your 99% or whatever.
Yep.
Is that because of like, are you running into more RMPs on ladder?
So the reason it's good is because you run trinket. Because burst is really high, so usually you're playing trinket against most things to be able to save your team on an extra go, essentially.
Okay.
And the 10% less damage taken is the 10% less CC taken is really valuable. It's half relentless essentially, right? So you're getting half of relentless and a trinket, and then you have the the passive, which gives a lot of stats, which is really nice for disc. It's up basically half the time as disc because you're always dispelling stuff.
Fair enough.
So the passive value of it is just really high.
Okay. All right. So stats, passive, and then CC in that.
Yeah.
I
think you have
go ahead.
potentially. This is the thing with disc, right? You can run so many different legendaries in different situations. Come back here, cat. Come on, I'm kicking. It's like the toss-up, right? I either have her in there and she's a nightmare, or she's kicked out and swinging off the door. So yeah, you have the options of twins and the penitent one, and potentially reflect as well. Which, depending on your comp, you can run reflect, right? If you're playing like a more dampening comp in twos, a comp that has longer games, you can run the reflect. If you're playing a comp that does banger goes, you can run twin sun priestess, but it's like a really niche one as well, that one, because if you're running into something like a mage, then they're going to dispel it or steal it rather, so then you don't really want that one. And then the penitent one is good in threes into like a few comps, but mostly Ceph is kind of better against them, so it's like it needs a lot of testing and figuring out, I guess, for yourself which one you prefer against different comps. But there's a lot of different options for sure.
Okay.
But if you don't know what to take, just go Cephas. It's just the most solid pick, I would say, against everything.
I'm gonna bet a lot of people do Cephus just because it's easier. Just farm the Soul Ash for that, make the one, and then you're not having to farm more Soul Ash just to test something out, and then go, yeah, I should have just kept Cephus. So
it's the best against the most stuff. So
it's a safe bet. All right.
Yeah.
So you said you run trinket plus that. What's your other trinket then? What's your
usually just BM trinket, the Battlemaster. I don't know what it's called right now. The one that gives you health.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
It used to be BM trinket back in the day.
Yeah, I know what you meant. All right. Okay. Talking gear. So stats. What are you aiming for?
Just max eye level, 30-ish Versa, and then rest in haste right now.
Okay.
So the Versa haste is kind of like, I'm not 100% certain on what's better, but it again depends on the matchup. So if you're playing something like a mage, you want a bit more haste so you can death stuff, right? This is like hidden value, right? You can dispel faster, you can death faster, all these sorts of things, and you can't really quantify that in terms of PvE. Like deathing a sheep versus not is going to change the whole game. However, Versa loses value after 30. Like 30 to 39, 31 to 39% Versa, I think, gets 10% less value from the stat.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So after I hit 30, I just chuck my gems and stuff onto haste so that I go from like 16 or something haste to 20% haste. And it just makes disc feel nicer to play.
All right.
So even though I think in PvE, all of the stats are relatively equivalent for disc. Like they're all really close. So because of the 40% extra value you get from Versa on Trinket, right? Technically, like PvE wise, Versa is still worth grabbing, even though you don't get as much after 30.
Yeah.
So mathematically, it is better, but obviously haste has this hidden value that I talked about, where if you get a spell off or don't, it's like a big difference. And so because of that, disc is quite reliant on that with its cooldowns, and it feels a lot nicer to play when you are a little bit more haste.
Makes sense. All right. Yeah, because I think I've heard other people say, although yes, there is a DR on versatility and other stats after 30%, with versatility they just ignore that because like you said, because that 40% boost when you have the double trinket.
Yeah, for some or a lot of specs, 100% agree. Like it's probably better just to keep going.
Yeah. But that does make sense, especially when you're cutting it so close on certain things, such as waiting for the CC to finish, especially if you just pop out of Cephu's, do an instant radiance, and then go into a penance or something like that. To then have the haste behind that as well it just makes more sense. You're able to just put out more and do more. So
yeah, I think most mages run like 17 plus because it allows them to sheep out of DB.
Yeah.
And so if you have less haste than the mage, it can be really rough because you could use a global and then right after he starts casting a sheep, and now you just like can't react to death it because you're on global.
Yeah.
So it's you want a little bit more, I think, than the things you're trying to death.
Oh man, I love I love what haste has brought to the game ever since it got implemented and how it can be.
Oh, yeah, haste is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Do you remember they were gonna add cooldown reduction?
Yes.
It was like they added multi-strike, something else, and they were gonna add cooldown reduction. I forget what it was gonna be called, but they scrapped it because it was like they couldn't balance it. It was so broken.
Yeah. No, you can't.
That would have been insane.
Oh
though.
my god.
Imagine trying to track other people's cooldowns. I mean, Mage kind of has it, right, with Combust, and it's already a nightmare.
That was, oh gosh. That'd be, I remember, I'm going to brain fart the name of it now. End of BFA, the Holy Pally, where all of a sudden they'd just be able to like cast.
Oh yeah, Ineffable. Yeah,
the Ineffable Truth, where all of a
sudden.
Yeah.
Oh man, I blocked that out, dude. That was gone from my brain. Like straight up. I was like, yeah, imagine that was in the game. It literally was.
Yeah. Kind of was.
Bad times.
It was bad times, but it was fun times. Like that stuff was wacky, but it was
mental. Dude.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So, all right. So get into our strategies. What kind of comps? You said playing 2s, playing 3s. You said RMP and jungle for 3s. That's pretty much it, I guess.
I think you can potentially run something like Ret Warrior Disc as well. You can get to like 3k with that for sure.
Okay.
I think if you have really good Ret and Warrior, you can definitely do well with that.
What about in 2s then?
In 2s, I mean, you can play with Hunter, Feral, Rogue, Mage. No, not Mage. Don't play with Mage as a disc. Save yourself the heartache. Don't play with Mage. Don't play with Warlock. Don't play with any casters as disc, honestly. You want to play with something that has a stun and something that you can set up with. Okay. Windwalker's good. You can fear off their saps and then do Big Bang.
Right.
Ret is okay. Warrior, you need a really good warrior. Because the warrior needs to do... It's like a really dependent on pressure comp. So if the warrior is not like fully geared or not doing the damage that they should, then you're going to fall behind. And then you're going to have to start using Shadow Mend a lot instead of doing damage with Atonement. Because you want to make them submissive, right? And do less damage because you're crushing them so hard. And if your warrior is not doing that, then you're going to have a really hard time. So it's potentially doable. I played it, I think, like 2-7 with Waz or something just to test it out.
Okay.
So it's doable, but again, it relies a lot on the warrior.
Fair. All right. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Anything else?
Yeah. If you are looking to do 2s, honest to God, just go Holy. Every single comp that you can play as disc is better with a Holy. As sad as it is, because I love disc, just you'll have more fun and have an easier time as Holy. Like I was very scared of trying out Holy to start with, and I made the switch, like sorted out my binds, made the switch, and pretty much just did better instantly, even while learning it.
Wow.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So I would say stay disc for 3s, but try out Holy in 2s.
So are you coming back in 2 weeks when we do the Holy Priest episode?
The dream, dude.
I'm kidding. All right. Okay. So what's the win condition? What do you? I think you've kind of said it, but let's say it succinctly. So it's your teammates start the stun. You go in for the fear as a follow up, and then
are we talking 3s or 2s?
Oh, all right. Let's say 2s. Let's start with 2s.
So 2s is essentially it's to oversimplify it. You want to fear one guy and stun one guy and kill the other guy in the stun, and you want to do them both at the same time. And you use the mind games in the stun, and then do as much damage as you can. Right. And then in between, you just want to try and mitigate damage as much as you can and wait for the next go, because you're not going to kill anything in between. So your damage doesn't matter. Either player damage in between doesn't matter. Aside from stuff like Windwalker or Warrior, things that just generally have high sustained damage and are going to dampen things out. And then you just want to both be spamming as much damage as possible.
Right.
And then you have the goes as well as that. So you have, Stormbolt Fear potentially. You have Sap Fear from the monk.
Okay.
And then it's the same thing.
Just rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
And you just do it until they run out of CDs, and then hope you're not by that time.
Coming back to that whole spray and pray. All right.
Yeah.
And then threes. I guess
So
that's
threes-
more of a setup, eh?
Yeah, so threes, RMP and jungle are both very setup oriented. You can't really dampen people that much at the moment as jungle. A few matchups you can, and it's very much about just using your cooldowns correctly and winning later on.
Okay.
RMP is all just setup. You usually want to try and either fear one, stun one, and sheep run one, right? So you try and have the rogue stun the 2 DPS, the mage DB sheep the healer, and then you fear off the initial stuns, right? Essentially, what you want to try and do, right, is you want to try and cross CC their whole team with as few gaps for them to use defensives as possible.
Yep.
So if you have good timing, you can try and get all three at the same time, and then no one can use anything, and somebody has to use a trinket to stop your go.
Yeah.
Because everyone's in CC. And that's kind of like the goal of the comp, to do this as cleanly as possible without taking damage or too much damage in between. And that's where you use the disc cooldowns to kind of manage that. And then the rogue mage kind of just plays it out like rogue mage in twos. So you know how rogue mage, like they do their go and then they run, or they use a cooldown to mitigate. So it's almost the same as that, but with a priest as well.
Okay. You make it sound so simple.
I wish it was. It's executing it is a different story when the other team's trying to stop you and is killing you.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah. And otherwise everyone would be Waz RMP, right? And everyone would be raging about RMP.
Exactly.
More than usual. Honestly, I believe I've not been playing RMP that much right now, but for me, I consider Mage Rogue in twos and RMP in threes is like a skill matchup. Like if you play good, you'll win. If you play bad, you'll lose. Against RMP and against Mage Rogue.
Oh yeah.
Use your cooldowns well. Top goes.
I truly enjoyed watching Charlotte Phoenix whenever they went into an RMP mirror match. Because
RMP mirror match is the best shit ever, man.
Oh my god.
Like it's the best for me, the best matchup in the game.
Yeah.
For like ever.
So
we used to play on AT back in, where was it? It was after Wrath of the Lich King. I think it was during Kata, and we had a RMP only thing. We would just play RMP mirrors all day long.
Yeah.
Like it was the most fun. Yeah. RMP mirror for the win.
I love this quality advice. Play good and you will win. Yeah, that's all right.
It's too true.
It's right up there with you will win if you get their health bar down to 0 before yours goes to 0. That's generally how it goes.
That's the arena in a nutshell.
Speaking of getting down to 0, how do I kill you?
As a priest?
Yeah, as a disc priest. How can I? What's your death condition?
Depends on the class, really.
All right.
I mean, simply get me
Okay.
Like that's the biggest disc death condition, I would say.
All right.
Like disc ooms. Don't let the disc drink. Disc will oom and then you win.
Right. So go for the 3-minute win condition. All right.
Yeah, it's literally, you hear it on streams, on top player streams, and it's literally like people saying, do nothing, play defensive, don't die. Priest is gonna oom his disc, like then you win. The burden is not on you to win the game. It's just don't lose the game until the priest is oom.
All right. Yikes.
It's sad because I don't think that's a fun way to play, right?
No.
And I don't think that's a fun thing to exist in the game, but that's where we're at right now. So.
I just was, you're saying it, and I was just thinking, I'm like, that's what it's been for years now, right?
Yeah. I think that's a big reason that Holy is coming forward as well, because it's less like that.
Yep, I can see that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised Holy wasn't picked up an expansion ago or earlier.
Well, it changed a lot this expansion. because Greater Heal got like mega nerfed basically. Before it was like you stand there and you spam Greater Heals, and it was a very different spec to what it is now. I feel like the pace of it was a lot slower, I think. Other than if you had like Giga Haste and then you would do like 1 second Greater Heals or something, and it was just absurd. But like even in threes, like you didn't have that much instant and on-demand healing.
Okay.
So there wasn't that many comps that really worked with it. Whereas now I think there's a lot of viable stuff.
All right.
I feel like I'm encroaching on the holy episode.
Once again, thank you for the foreshadowing. I appreciate it.
I hope I didn't hype it up too much.
No worries. All right. Right before we roll this out, then the question I love to ask. So imagine you, Ian Hazacostas calls you up and says, "Yo, Ryan, you know what? We heard you really like Disc Priests. We're gonna give you the option. You get to name one thing that you can change about Disc Priests. Don't worry about technology. Don't worry about whether we'll make it work, and don't matter the cost and what it'll take. We'll get it done. What's the one thing you would change?
Like one spell?
Anything about Disc Priest. What's one thing that you could change?
Fix the talent tree, man.
Just
like there's so many dead talents on the talent tree. Not just for PvP, for like all content. Like the disc talent tree is a shambles. Like the spec is so cool, and the talent tree just lets it down so much. It could be so much cooler.
Cool. That's all right.
It just needs a rework.
That's probably the biggest broadband I've heard yet. Usually somebody's like, it's one spell. It's like one.
Well, I mean, if it's one spell, that's
no. That's great. One talent tree, the whole talent tree. That's good.
Yeah.
I said that's one thing. That's awesome. So I usually don't pre-think this. I think because I listen to the whole everything, and I usually pick something up during the conversation. And the one that you said, so I was thinking this one for the Ultimate Radiance. Like you said, so it turns instant cast. Now you get 250% heal on instant cast Radiance. Mega chunk of mana though. It's the reason why it's going So I was thinking, what if you got a percentage of mana back based on the healing done? So if it's just one person, then you get back like 2% or whatever. But if you get like it's like 2% if you took them from like 0 to 100%, right? So if it's only a 50% heal for that person, you only get 1% mana back, and make it scaled that way.
I think the problem with that would be Radiance is
you're not allowed to defunk it. No,
I need to. I'm having palpitations. It's like it would be good in the opposite situation of when you wanted it to be good. Because you go when you're doing a lot of single target healing, right?
Yeah.
But your version would be good when you're doing a lot of AoE healing with it.
Yeah.
Which is already mana efficient. So it would be giga mana efficient, and you'd never go against AoE heal comps. And then against single target comps, you just wouldn't do enough healing to get mana, and you'd still go
Fair. At least you get back some mana. All right, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wah. All right.
I think just reducing the cost.
Yeah. You're not invited back.
I'm sorry. I take it back.
I'm kidding. All right. Let's do the news and we'll roll this one out.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. So, Cup number 4 happened. I know you were there, Ryan. Well, but I mean, like you said, Skill Cap DU, they took first place. And then Hamsters and Hares took the first place over at NA. I will admit, watching Cup number 4, that was really exciting as a viewer because it wasn't the usual suspects in the top 8 or the top 4. It was a little new. I was kind of surprised with some of especially on the NA side, some of the toss-ups that happened there.
Who was Hamsters and Hares? I've never seen that team before.
Oh, I was afraid you're gonna ask me that question. Do.
I'm sure chat knows.
Oh shoot! And I didn't.
I feel like I like vaguely follow the US scene, but not that much.
Yeah. Oh,
so there's like a few teams that I've like regularly seen.
Yeah.
It wasn't the RMP, right?
I think no, they
The
were.
RMP was a different team.
Yeah, no, they weren't RMP. Oh my gosh, I
Did
can't.
they play RMP the whole way through, by the way, or did they play loads of different stuff?
I feel like an idiot
You
now.
I didn't know. I didn't want to see US one.
I
should've probably
literally
watched
I
it.
just updated the brackets on Wikipedia yesterday, and I can't remember now because I just ran through it. I didn't tight watch it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think you're right.
Come on, chat, save us.
Ret Warrior. Yeah, they're mostly Ret Warrior.
Really?
It's
For
Valito,
shame.
Valito, Roasty, Floor Mat, and Zach. That's what it was.
Don't know any of them.
Yeah. Kind of out of the woodwork.
Congrats on the win, though.
Yeah. So they won. I can't believe I just brain farted that so bad. And then there was also a newcomer group called Stash Stallions, which basically not really heard of before, and they they knocked out a few teams right at the go and made it to the top 8, which was really amazing. They went toe to toe to Unitas and ended up losing on game 5 in the losers or the lower bracket. So
Oh, that feels bad, man.
hell.
You know.
Unitas was they were on fire. So either way, so out of that we have the top 8 teams for NA and EU going into the circuit. So looking forward to that. And then the MDI Cup number 4 happened just last weekend. So and that went to Echo, the team Echo Guild for winning that. Let's hear. So I hyped it up before. There was the Gaslighting Classic 5v5 death match that had happened. It was a round robin as well. It finished on March 7th, and apparently I wasn't even aware of this. I was hyping it up. Ready Raider had actually sponsored his team, and they ended up taking first place there. So kudos to them. And I kind of talked about there's been some changes here. Patch 9.0.5 dropped just recently. Everybody knows about that. I'm sure of it. Couple things that I noted that were pretty big. The Seething Shore Battleground has been removed from the RBG rotation to fix the invisible enemy issue. If people don't know what this is, sometimes you would, when you got into Seething Shore, the UI would bug out and you wouldn't be able to see all the enemies. So you'd have to actually do a reload of your UI. Some people were like reloading the client to get it to work. It was pretty horrible. That doesn't. Hopefully they fix some of the other issues that are Seething Shore, which is sometimes the airship actually goes outside the boundary, so you actually get warnings and that you're outside of the game map and stuff like that, depending where you are on the map. It's there's a few other issues there. But anyway, they're taking it out. And Ringing Clarity got slightly revamped for Paladins. So now it's was instead of 3 guaranteed crits, it's a little bit less. Overall, it's a nerf for Paladins, which is good. And ultimately, people won't get hundreds zeroed just by Ringing Clarity. Trying to think what else. I know there's some hot fixes, but I didn't really see anything major for PvP. Anything you've been tracking there, Hydra? Did I miss anything?
Let's take a look real quick. I feel like I was gonna make a video, and then there was so little that I thought actually really had that much of an impact that I just didn't end up doing it. Okay. So there was like some hunter stuff, right, with the covenants. I think that was like a big thing. Obviously, the Ringing Clarity got there's like more of a delay with it now as well, so it's not as bursty. There was going to be the warrior change, right? That was like a huge drama.
The Warrior Banner one? You talking?
No,
something else?
there was the one with the execute legendary.
Oh yeah,
it was going to just one shot people.
Yeah. I remember seeing I think Revo and Magnus were both tweeting. They're like, "Please, this cannot go live like this."
It was absurd.
Yeah. This one, I guess people were a little tweaked out by the wording of this, but War Banner will now apply to players who were already crowd controlled before the banner was placed.
I was not happy when I saw that. I didn't know it was a bug fix.
That's fine.
I didn't know it was a bug fix, so I was just like losing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's like, it's fine, dude, chill. It's just a bug fix. And I was like, no, I look like an idiot.
So wait. So if I'm CC'd and you drop a war banner, does that break me out?
So there was a bug where it was like if you're in a cheap shot and you get bannered,
Yep.
and you get sheeped out of the cheap shot while the banner's up, then the sheep wasn't getting reduced. And they just fixed that, so the sheep now will get reduced. It's not like if you're in a sheep and then they banner while you're in a sheep that the sheep gets reduced.
Okay.
Which is what I thought it was, which is why I was...
That's how I read that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just poorly worded.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just a bug fix.
Yeah. That makes more sense then. Okay. Okay. I'm not seeing... yeah. So I know that there's some other things. Nothing jumped out at me really, though, other than, like I said, the two that I picked up. So... all right. Well, I guess if I'm wrong, you guys know how to get a hold of us. Actually, speaking of how, well, as you know, before I let you pimp your stuff, do you have any shout outs, Ryan? Anybody want to give a shout out to?
My sponsors, F2K. They've been great.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my subs. All the people who've been supporting my stream. I think Blinken's in the chat.
He's been here the whole time.
Probably needs a share. McFatty as well, if he's there. Andreas as well. He's been supporting me a lot lately.
That's awesome.
And everyone that's been supporting my stream, thank you so much. It's been a crazy few months.
Wow, that's awesome. It's great to, and I want to give you a shout out, Ryan, for giving us the fat host when we started this, and bringing in so many of your viewers as well.
What up, guys?
That was awesome. And shout out to the people that gave the stream a follow. That's great. I said, well, we're here every other Tuesday, but there's a ton of other great shows here. And actually, I want to give a shout out to the people who are listening, to the people who are Patreons, to the Warcraft Radio people, or the Warcraft Radio channel, because that sponsors not just us, but all of the other wonderful content creators over at Warcraft Radio. So shout out to you guys. Okay, this is your chance to shine, Hydra. Although a ton of people are in the channel right now, but there's a bunch of other people who are going to be listening at home and on their commutes in the next few days. Where can they find you?
I'm just over at twitch.tv/HydraMist.
All right.
You can find all my Twitter and it's all HydraMist as well, but it's all linked off my Twitch. So if you want to, easy to remember, twitch.tv/HydraMist.
Easy peasy. All right.
Yep.
And you're also pretty active on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I try to be. I get told off a lot, but for not being active enough. So these days you've just got to go ham on it, and I'm just like, I don't want to tell people I just made a cup of tea. It's like, it's boring. But yeah, so I try and just tweet if I have something good to say. But
all right,
yeah, it's been good lately.
Good. All right. You, with all those cats you got, you just have to make some cat videos, and then you'll be number one Twitch or number one Twitter. Awesome. Oh wow, thanks. Thank you, ZayTV, for the subscribe. That's awesome.
Love it, Zay.
If anybody's looking for us, you can tweet. You can find us on Twitter at technically_PvP. We have an email at technicallypvp@gmail.com. There's the Warcraft Radio Discord. I'll have links for that in the show notes, and I just put it up in the Twitch chat as well if you lovely people want to go and join us over there for our conversations. And if you go over to the warcraftradio.com, you'll find a bunch of other shows, and actually there's a podcast directory over there too. So if you're looking for some new shows, check them out, and if you like them or not, give them a review. Help us, help them. Tell us what you think of us. All right, that's it for me. You guys have an excellent night, and stay classy, everybody. Good night.
Good night. All good? Cool. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I hope I didn't complain too much. I tried not to go too in detail, but yeah, I get carried away sometimes. Yeah. I think we covered everything though, honestly, from what I can see on the